Tonight, parents left rushing to make plans after Peel Region decides to pull the plug on schools.
It's really difficult because if people are working or essential workers and they have to go, what are they supposed to do last minute with their children?
Just hours before an unscheduled week off, we have reaction to the controversial decision. Plus,
you're exactly missing the biggest driver that we're seeing right now. And I'm worried that if we don't do something to address this directly, we're not going to see an effect in bringing the cases down.
The entire province under a shutdown, but some doctors are saying it's not enough and are calling for stronger measures. And children's sports leagues have been sidelined for months. Organizers are asking if they'll be allowed to operate this year. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Parents and teachers in Peel are likely scrambling tonight after hearing that all schools in the region will be closing and going virtual starting tomorrow. We also learned just a few hours ago schools in Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph will be switching to remote learning later this week. This as COVID-19 cases continue to surge, prompting both regions' medical officers of health to take action. Our Ali Chiasson has more.
These openings and closings, they're not really all that great for the kids.
Despite the province pulling the emergency brake last week and shutting down some facets of our lives for 28 days, schools were supposed to remain open. But medical officers of health have the discretionary power to overrule that. And that's exactly what happened in Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph region and Peel.
Our school board partners were just having more difficulties with automatic dismissals and schools being closed left, right, and center.
Peel's medical officer of health, Dr. Lawrence Lowe, acknowledged while schools are not a main source of transmission, with community cases rising, closing schools for 2 weeks helps break the chain of transmission.
So we thought, especially with the 4-day period coming up just before the April break, we said, why don't we try to make it a bit of a cooling off period for schools.
All schools and all grades in both Peel District and Peel Catholic school boards are affected by this. Students will move to online remote learning starting tomorrow morning until Friday. The following week is April break, which means kids won't be back in class until Monday, April 19th. Dr. Lowe says it buys time.
Hopefully get other measures in place that will bring community transmission down as well, and also allow vaccines to continue to catch up.
We need to get a handle on this, and until we can vaccinate more of the community, then this is what has to happen.
I empathize with the parents that they weren't given very much notice.
Mayor of Mississauga, Bonnie Crombie, supports the decision.
What we're seeing in our hospitals, Trillium Health Partners, patients are doubling. The situation worsened significantly.
Meanwhile, Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown says crowded factories should close before schools. And
the least we can do now is vaccinate our educators, because we can't say at the same time that schools aren't safe and then not vaccinate educators.
Toronto and York region aren't following suit in closing schools board-wide. For now, school closures will only be in effect in Peel and Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph. Students there will begin remote learning on Wednesday. The region's medical officer of health is expected to issue the order tomorrow. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Mississauga.
As Ali just mentioned, Toronto is not taking the same steps to curb cases in schools. However, several in the city are closing tomorrow due to COVID-19 outbreaks. A total of 22 schools will be closed tomorrow. The Toronto District School Board is closing 11 schools, while the Catholic School Board will close 9. 1 French school and 1 independent school are also part of the list. Now, you can find all the details on our website, including a full list of which schools will be closed. Just go to cbc.ca/Toronto. And with all the school closures and spring break on the horizon, many parents were hoping day camps would be a reprieve. But with the province-wide shutdown, those have been canceled as well.
Told that it is taking on all of us. It just, no one seems to realize how damaging this is. And the people need help right now. And the way that things are being handled with our children, constantly knowing that our government never puts them first and their mental health, it's really rocking us.
Toronto is canceling 85 camps affecting more than 1,000 children. The city is issuing automatic refunds and offering virtual programs instead, like exploring diverse food cultures and landmarks across Canada. Ontario is reporting nearly 6,000 new cases of COVID-19 over the past 2 days, and the number of people in intensive care continues to be very concerning. There are currently 494 patients in the ICU, a record high. Tonight, a number of prominent public health doctors have come together to push the province to do more to help get the situation under control. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has this story.
The parking lot of a Mississauga shopping mall packed on this Easter Monday, and a steady stream of shoppers heading inside. If you don't think this looks like a lockdown or shutdown, you're not alone. More and more public health experts say the emergency brake the province imposed over the weekend will be ineffective at slowing the rapid spread of COVID-19 in hotspots. The top public health doctors in Toronto, Ottawa, and Peel region are formally asking Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health for stronger measures.
The third wave is hitting harder, it's hitting more severely, and it is also impacting people who are younger.
These doctors are calling for a province-wide stay-at-home order. They want Ontario's list of essential businesses reviewed and those that shouldn't be there dropped. They want staffing at essential workplaces capped at 50%, travel restrictions imposed between regions, and emergency legislation for paid sick days.
We know that we are not going to be able to vaccinate our way out of this in time.
Toronto's mayor is also asking the government to bring in tougher restrictions.
We have to sit down and have that discussion now. I think we need to have it in a very open and honest way without any fear of the criticism that can come.
These calls for stronger public health measures come with Ontario reporting more than 12,000 cases of COVID-19 in a 4-day stretch. That hasn't happened since mid-January. The province has also hit yet another record for COVID-19 patients in intensive care. This infectious disease specialist says the province's emergency brake won't curb the spread of COVID-19 in essential workplaces such as factories and warehouses.
So you're exactly missing the biggest driver that we're seeing right now. And I'm worried that if we don't do something to address this directly, we're not going to see an effect in bringing the cases down.
No provincial cabinet ministers were available for an interview today. The spokesperson for the health minister says the province has provided workplaces with more than 4 million rapid test kits, but did not say how many of them have actually been used. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
There are also growing calls to vaccinate essential workers. Last week, the province announced eligible adults as young as 55 can book their appointments at certain pharmacies. But doctors and frontline workers say eligibility should open up to all essential workers, including teachers. Talia Ricci spent time at a pharmacy doing things a little different today, giving teachers over 55 a chance to get the shot.
It's a sense of relief.
Relief for this 56-year-old teacher who has asthma, is working in the classroom, and was vaccinated today.
I think the tipping point for me was when my coworkers' tests came back positive. It made me quite afraid.
She says she signed up with several pharmacy wait lists, desperate to get the first dose. The owner of Lawler PharmaSave answered her call. He's taking matters into his own hands. Kyrillos Massey tweeted saying teachers and daycare workers over 55 could come by without an appointment today.
Everyone went crazy, and then I had a lineup at my pharmacy today. Overall, a lot of the people that I'm vaccinating are working from home, so I thought I would give an opportunity to put teachers and people that actually come in contact with a lot of students sort of an edge in getting the vaccine quicker.
Calls from doctors to vaccinate essential workers as soon as possible are growing.
What is really so pressing and has just been weighing on all of us, the fact that they still don't have preferential access to the vaccine. And this is where we're at now in April of 2021.
So the hangar's ready to open today.
At the opening of the city's 6th mass vaccination site, Toronto Mayor John Tory urged people 60 and over to sign up and said plans for workplaces are being made.
We hope to be able to take it to workplaces, for example, where we know there's a higher risk just given all of the circumstances, and to other areas where we know people are more vulnerable.
In a statement, the province says it will vaccinate essential workers as part of Phase 2, and that it's committed to vaccinating everyone in Ontario as quickly as possible. Teachers under the eligible age working with kids say a shot can't come soon enough.
It's as safe as it's going to be, and it's not safe. I mean, unless those enhanced protocols include a vaccine, then going back to school after the break is insane.
Massey hopes his actions spark change.
Hopefully it kind of catches on, and it just doesn't make sense if I'm vaccinating solely based on age, because that doesn't really reduce the risk overall for the province.
The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario echoed those calls today, asking for vaccine priority for education and essential workers. They're also calling on the government to move all learning online in COVID-19 hotspots. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
A driver is dead after two tractor trailers collided in Brampton. The crash happened around 2:30 this afternoon in the area of Goreway Drive and Intermodal Drive near Highway 407. Police say the incident occurred on private property. One driver was trapped in the crash and pronounced dead on scene. No other injuries were reported. The Ministry of Labour will be investigating. Police are continuing their search for suspects involved in a case of stunt driving in North York that drew a large crowd over the weekend. It was all caught on video, including partygoers swarming a police car and even setting the pavement on fire. Greg Ross has the latest.
It's immature, it's reckless, and it's very dangerous.
Police are trying to identify people captured on this social media video stunt driving early Sunday morning near McNichol Avenue and Placer Court.
If one of the drivers of these vehicles loses control, they can kill or seriously injure the participants that are watching, the passengers in the motor vehicles, and the drivers themselves.
But that was just the beginning. The video shows people in the crowd gathered using gas to light the intersection on fire and lighting off fireworks. Police were called to break it up, but before they could get out of their cars, they were attacked.
One of our police cars was damaged with extensive damage from the participants who were jumping on the vehicle. If we identify and locate the people involved in the damaging of our police cars, they will be charged criminally.
Today there were still skid marks in the intersection here left by the cars that were doing donuts, as well as trash left by the people who were gathered here, including the remnants of some of the fireworks they were lighting off. This is an industrial area. People who work here were both surprised and frustrated something like this could happen.
That's crazy. That happened here?
They should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
The crowd eventually fled, but police say they gathered at several other locations throughout Sunday morning.
That they ended up on Meadowvale Road up near the Toronto Zoo, on Tapscott Road, and in the Dean Park Road area.
So far, police have charged 19 people for gathering under the Reopening Act of Ontario. They're asking for help identifying others captured on the social media videos. The stunt drivers could be facing thousands of dollars in fines, license suspension, and vehicle impoundment. Those responsible for damaging police cars could be facing much more serious charges. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Looking ahead to the week, I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy. We are talking about mild air hanging in there, in some cases very mild. I'll tell you where coming up.
Some changes are coming to Ontario's long-term care homes. With over 90% of residents fully immunized, the province is asking homes to ensure residents can go outside. Homes are also being asked to allow residents and loved ones to have a space outside of their rooms and to resume small group social activities. Partly cloudy this evening, becoming clear overnight, and temperatures above seasonal. Currently, it's about 9 degrees downtown. Let's go now to our meteorologist, Colette Kennedy. And Colette, not a big fan of the gray skies today, but the temperature is staying pretty mild, hoping that is a trend that's going to be sticking around this week.
Yeah, Kelda, you know, we're just seeing our temperatures a little above seasonal, but even as I'm looking ahead, it's like as we carry on this week and into April, even a little deeper than that, generally our highs are above seasonal. We're even seeing that with the overnight lows, but we should be around highs like 10 to 11 degrees between Toronto back towards southwestern Ontario. So this week, mild. Showers returning. Now there's a few exceptions to this because we do have a few kind of rogue showers, the remnants of some thunderstorms from Michigan and a few areas where they're going to pop up. So I'm going to fill you in on the details on that. But even any showers that come through tomorrow evening, we should get into some clearing Wednesday. Maybe a little cloud cover early in the day, but then clearing so that it's going to be a beautiful day again as we go into midweek. So daytime highs today. That's what they're looking at. And, you know, we do have that breeze coming off the lake. So if you are closer to the lakeshore, whether it's Erie or Ontario or Huron, you're going to find that we do get into some cooler temperatures. So you have to knock those readings down a little bit. And just looking, I said some of the, you know, we had some of that showery activity to the west end of Lake Ontario earlier this evening. And some of those remnants still kind of passing through. Another little band trying to get organized here as we go into tomorrow morning. So around London, you could see some showers, some fog as well, patches back towards southwestern Ontario, but that should burn off and you're actually getting into a warm sector there, so the temperatures will be soaring. They're mild in the GTA, but they're going to be pretty significantly warm as we go back towards Chatham, Kent, towards Windsor and Sarnia. So I'll show you those in just a moment. Here we are into the evening hours though on Tuesday, and that's when some more organized showers are going to pass through. A lot of these though at times kind of dry up, so they get a little bit scattered or isolated in nature. There we are on Wednesday. I'd said the sun would come back out, and sure enough, it will be coming back out. Your temperatures tonight with some of that patchy fog, very mild here as we look at southwestern Ontario. Speaking of mild, that's what I'm talking about. If we get into that warm sector tomorrow and see those southerly winds kicking up, we are talking getting into the 20s there. Not the case, a little cooler here around the Golden Horseshoe. Still some lovely readings though. Sunshine in the morning, then we get into increasing cloudiness as the day wears on Tuesday. So the early part, very, very pleasant. There are some of your showers coming in. Wednesday, that clearing. And like I said, I meant it when I said those temperatures, Kelda, are going to be on the mild side through the period.
I like it. Thanks so much, Colette.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
If you are a young athlete in Toronto, it's been a long year. For a few, there have been a handful of games and practices, but for most, the pandemic kept them sidelined since last March. And with Ontario's rules the way they are, leagues are wondering whether they'll be able to offer programs at all this year, and if children will come back. Jamie Strachan has the story.
For Peter Paz and his two sons, it's great to be back on the diamond.
Last season was pretty much it was a full cancellation for the league. So none of the kids within the High Park baseball family got to play baseball at High Park. And I know we were all upset about it. And because High Park really is part of our family, part of our community.
While some offered limited activity last summer, most baseball and soccer leagues were sidelined by provincial health guidelines. This winter, some children got on the ice for limited practice, but no games. In November, all activities stopped and has remained virtually dormant since. The executive director of one of the city's largest soccer leagues says it's hard to understand when patios have been open and people can shop.
We're mostly community-based organizations. We're not big business. We don't have lobbyists. So we are heard, and I just don't think we've been heard enough.
Before COVID, the club was home to about 5,000 children. It says nearly a third won't return.
The programs that are suffering the most are the recreational programs. Like the once a week play on a house league team in soccer, baseball, or anything.
Experts say that with safety protocols like contact tracing and masks, outdoor sports are low risk.
There can be a roadmap to getting sports back. And I think, as the weather gets better, we really do need to put it on the table for people, as it's so important for people and again, for the mental and physical well-being.
The province says getting kids active is critical, but leagues say recent changes, which did allow groups of 10 to practice, don't go far enough.
I know that everybody's really itching to get out there and do activities, and we want people to do activities, but we want them to do them safely.
Leagues say they need to be able to expand beyond a bubble of 50 children once the city moves back into green, yellow, or orange. Ontario Soccer says many clubs will collapse economically if they can't offer more than practices and drills.
That's a good hit.
Peter Paz says his league will operate safely whatever guidelines are in place, but hopes to get back to normal.
Competition is critical for the kids, whether it's in house league, whether it's in rep, whether it's baseball, whether it's soccer. So just practices, it's not sustainable.
Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Imagine spending hours out here baking in the sun every day, and then city just comes in with their tractors and wrecks it all.
Coming up, build it and they will destroy it. BMX riders in Windsor took it upon themselves to create their own park, but the city has demolished it not once, but twice. More on why the riders say the city needs to put the pedal to the metal. Still ahead.
Opening day, the Rangers have opened it up, and the ballpark seats 40,000, and sounds like they are pretty close to it.
It's been a long time since a stadium was open to capacity, but fans came in droves to watch the Jays play the Rangers in Arlington, Texas this afternoon. Even though the state lifted its mask mandate last month, masks were required for anyone not eating or drinking. As for the game, Rangers fans didn't have much to cheer for today. The Jays won 6-2. And finally tonight, for the second time in 4 years, the city of Windsor has demolished a popular bike trail in the community. The trail in the east end of the city was built by the bikers who use it. But as Tamina Aziz explains, city officials say it's simply not safe enough.
For Ryan Bertrand, the bike trail in the east end of Windsor is an escape, a place for him to enjoy the outdoors and alleviate stress.
I come here pretty much every day to bike and hang out with my friends.
But he risks losing that sense of community now that the city of Windsor removed the trail last week.
Kind of makes me feel like a little bit mad just because we put so much work into building these, and it's made so many lifelong friendships.
Aaron Rivard agrees. He's been biking in the area for more than 20 years.
It's discouraging. It's very discouraging. Imagine spending hours out here baking in the sun every day, and then city just comes in with their tractors and wrecks it all.
It's the second time the city removed the bike track, first getting rid of it 4 years ago, deeming it a liability risk.
Although I fully appreciate that the people who are building them mean well, that when you build unauthorized trails that are not built to standard, that we don't know how they were engineered, how they were designed, what sort of materials go in, really do pose a concern of health and safety and a risk and liability.
Windsor's parks manager says the city will be building new authorized bike trails, but Rivard doesn't have high hopes for it.
They're really not up to what we wanted them to be, so obviously we're going to make the jumps that we want to enjoy.
The city says they'll be monitoring the area to make sure they don't have to clear the site a third time. Tamina Aziz, CBC News, Windsor.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.